Guys, what's up? I'm Greg Suzabasti with Deep Stream. Really love your film. Thank you for your time.
Sorry, Greg.
Yeah. So first off, this movie is so great because it really talks about the reality of following your dreams, even on its darkest days. Is that theme? Is that one of the reasons why both of you wanted to be part of this? It's a very realistic look at being an artist.
Definitely.
No.
Oh. No, that was definitely one of the things that resonated with me. I think in a lot of films around artists and in particular, like singers, it kind of was like, okay, they start off, they're nothing, and then they become like the biggest superstars on the planet. But for a lot of artists, that's not the real journey. And I think there's a lot of things, on the inside and certain greater depths, that this film explores around what are some of the things that we as artists truly wrestle with on a day-to-day basis, like the things that keep us up at night. And so that was definitely one of the things that drew me into wanting to tell this story.
And what about you, Thomas? Is same? Do you echo those sentiments?
No, it wasn't. I don't know. I just really resonate. I just loved the script. I just thought it was very real. I did a lot of kind of commercial stuff before, and then I just felt very real, and I really connected immediately with Casey and what kind of go. I just got him. I just understood him, and I saw a lot of myself in him. And I think just the opportunity to be able to express that kind of raw, vulnerable emotion, void of the glitz and glam and the right answer kind of thing. Just that kind of like messy reality, and that was exciting for me. And I still have that impulse a lot of the time, just to express my emotion. I don't know. I don't really know how to phrase it, but yeah, I guess that's why. That's the reason why I wanted to do it.
What's it like for you guys to make an indie film that really speaks from the soul as opposed to just a 3-act structure with cliched storytelling? What was it like for you guys to actually expose yourself filming in the elements within that indie budget? How gratifying and how challenging was it for both of you, I guess? Yeah.
I don't think the film would have been what it was if it had a big budget. I never once thought about the budget of the film. Not a single time. I just, yeah, again, I mean, it felt very raw. It felt incredibly layered. With the musical element to it, it created that depth, and that expansion. And yeah, it was scary. It was honestly really scary. Kind of like fucked me a little bit because it was just so raw and so vulnerable. But it was a magical experience, and I love the film, and I'm so proud of it, and I'm so proud of the work that we did.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I definitely felt the budget, because right before doing this film, I had shot The Old Guard 2. So that's like massive, like Netflix action, like money raining everywhere. And then the next week, I was back home in Cincinnati, Ohio, and in Kentucky, fighting for my life. For me, just being honest, I felt the difference. But I agree with what Thomas said of like, this movie would not be what it is if it did have, access to the millions and millions and millions. And I think that it brought all of us together as collaborators, like just a certain commitment to telling the story, to showing up, to fighting for it, that I think was really beautiful, and I think really contributed to, the authenticity of like what people are feeling, of what Dandelion and Casey are going through and what they're fighting for, because Thomas and I really had to show up, and we had to be vulnerable enough to really pour so much of ourselves and the things that we were, struggling with and fighting for, and like dealing with things not going quite as planned because we thought we would have the money to do this, but we actually don't, da 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 da. And like we could pour that into the story, and Nicole could do the same. And I think it made it that much stronger and like resonates that much more deeply with our audiences.
It felt very
But
raw.
Yeah.
yeah, and speaking just on that personal level, Kiki, just Dandelion's writing and singing about Over the Rhine, but
Mhm.
you're also singing about it because that's sort of pretty much from whence you came. Can you just talk about that double added layer of pressure? And it's actually something that I think most artists don't get to do in cinema. This is must be a special thing for you.
Oh, it was very special, and that came from very early conversations that I had with Nicole and had with the Desners, just saying to them now that I am playing Dandelion, this music is supposed to feel and sound like it came out of this instrument. Well, the instruments that wrote it, being the Desners, they're two older white guys in their mid-40s, but now this music is supposed to sound like it came out of a 30-year-old Black woman. So we had to have conversations around, the fact that there was a disconnect there, and that if we didn't acknowledge it and didn't make some adjustments to the music, then Dandelion's music wouldn't feel as authentic of coming out of this soul and this experience and this culture. And so the song Over the Rhine in particular was actually a very different song. And I just had to go up to Nicole and just kind of say, like, having grown up in Cincinnati, having went to school in Over the Rhine when it was not a great area to be in, it didn't feel right to not acknowledge how much the area has been gentrified. Um, Especially now that the area doesn't have as much space for the people that look like me as it used to. And so thankfully, her and the Desners gave me space to really pour myself and pour my experience into that song in particular. And that's how Over the Rhine came to be. I really wrote about what I saw happening in that area. I had to, pour that real life experience into it.
Yeah, my final question is for both of you is without giving too much away, Dandelion and Casey each have their moment where they have uh, an emotional breakdown. And as actors, how are you able to get there? Because from an outsider's point of view, both of those respective scenes seemed hard for me. But was it not that hard because you guys were able to access these emotions that your characters were going through? And how did both of you get there? Because it felt real as opposed to performative. So.
It wasn't hard to get there, it was hard to stop. I couldn't stop for like 20 minutes after.
Mm.
I just like got in my space. That was me done. I was like, we can't do it again because I can't stop crying. Uh, but that was kind of the end for me. You know, it was yeah, it was intense, but yeah, it wasn't that hard to get to. Just hard to stop.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember it being. I remember it being a journey for me. Because honestly, that my emotional breakdown is connected to something else actually that was cut. It's like a acapella song that she's singing. And so kind of going on the journey of that song and what the lyrics meant and all of that. And Nicole just, giving space for that journey and just letting the camera roll, until, we got what she felt that she needed. And, I thought it was kind of cool just to see how it worked in this, the magic of movie editing, how it was such a different scene, but how it worked in that moment. And I think created a much stronger story, actually, how they ended up using it.
Yeah, and very quickly, as you guys are leaving, I'm just thinking that this is such a special project for both of you. Is this one of those rare projects with respect to every other parts of your resume that you guys will carry on moving forward in your respective careers as a sign of like a place where you really want to go to is for inspiration and strength? Just wondering. So.
I'm going to carry it with me for sure. Just, especially because this is the introduction, my introduction to the world as a singer and songwriter as well. So I think I'm going to carry that forever.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely one of those films that'll be there with me for sure.
Thank you guys so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
Greg.